How does your past experience, how has it prepared you to be mayor? Can you use that experience in things that you do as mayor?
Well, I think without question. I understand budgets. I understand capital improvement plans. I understand organizational behavior, that even when you have a good plan and you have good leadership, you still will find that there's execution of these plans that runs amok sometimes. You can't anticipate everything that's going to happen, and you have to make decisions to get back on track or to work folks through a problem. I think I will be able to use all of that experience and utilize it, helping Harold, giving him thoughts about processes, helping other staff members, and then hopefully given the opportunities that I get, talking with Lions clubs and Rotary clubs and other community groups, the opportunity to share what the city's facing and what we are doing. So sure, I think the ability to speak in front of groups that I've developed from the opportunity to speak in front of groups for years, the opportunity to run a meeting when I've been running meetings for years, the opportunity to look at budgets and capital improvement plans and project management and bring to bear experience in those areas. All of those things have helped prepare me to do this work.
As you look at all the different issues that we're dealing with here in San Angelo, is there a number one issue in your mind?
Well, for me, there is a number one issue, and it's water and water supply. This business, this community has grown on a steady pace for 30 years, really much longer than that, and it's around a 3% increase, and those are very attractive numbers. We don't tend to go up and down. We don't go through much volatility. It allows a fairly incremental way to change and prepare for change. But that growth compounded over time means you need more water. And for us to be able to continue that compound growth over time, that water needs to be reliable, needs to be dependable, and the quality needs to be there. So I believe that our biggest challenge for the next several decades will be a reliable and dependable pure water source. I think we have that at our disposal, and so we need to work to get that water here.
And so is that why the Hickory project that the council's looking at is important?
Yes.
And I mean, what are your thoughts on that project?
Well, it's been around since the 1970s. They moved forward in the 1970s, bought pipe, started preparing to move that water to San Angelo. We received a lot of rains in the early 1980s, filled up the area lakes. It took the pressure off for getting that water here, and so they started using the monies and started reprioritizing what they did with capital improvements. But since that time, we really do not have and have not had rain events that filled these lakes. And even when we have wet years, like 2 years ago, over 30 inches of rain, and this past year, some 25 inches of rain, we're not gaining greatly in the storage of water in our reservoirs. When you combine that with the fact that Central Texas is having a lot of drought and problems with water, you see the pressure then for us to be moving forward to have reliable, dependable water. If we're unable to move more water down the Colorado River to Austin and other communities, they will start, just through stress and desperation, looking for ways to legislatively create an environment where we have to pass more water through, or through the courts, look for the opportunity to force us to pass more water through. That will put pressure on the water we get from Ivy Reservoir. It'll put pressure on the amount of water we get to store in the above ground reservoirs over at Spence, as well as out here at Twin Buttes. On top of that, just the drought of record is changing the amount of water that we get to take from these reservoirs. So what they do is measure for a period of time what the rainfall is, what the collection rates are in these reservoirs, and then they set for a community how many acre feet per year you can use. San Angelo has historically, for the last decade or so, used some 13,000 acre feet from Ivy, for instance, and our allocation from that reservoir is being reduced to 10,900 acre feet per year. So those types of reductions in what we can use from these reservoirs help make it very clear that we need to be working on another source. Thence back to a project that's 30 years old but needs to come to fruition. So we should be focused on getting that water here and getting the treatment facilities in place, the pipeline in place, and get that water here. We should also start now working on what's next. So you'll see us do that. We're working with Representative Darby, and we will work with Senator Duncan. We're already working very well with Senator Cornyn at the federal level, and we'll be working closely with Representative Conway and his team, trying to make sure people see this as a regional water issue that requires work with our neighbors in this area, and even some understanding of it being a complex process with people that are not our immediate neighbors, but our co-citizens, if you will, in Texas. So we're going to work hard on this from the perspective of taking care of San Angelo, from the perspective of building regional alliances and making sure this is seen as a water supply issue for the region, and that we try to get funding from the federal level, from the state level, as well as obviously from ourselves. And you'll see us working with these other area communities as it relates to future water supply, and possibly working together to purchase that supply and issues like that. So we have a lot of work to do as it relates to water supply.
What do you say to people, though, that say, you know, this is too expensive and we really don't need it? What is the danger of us not looking for that alternate water source?
Our economic well-being is heavily dependent right now on Goodfellow Air Force Base, Angelo State University, the regional hospitals that we have. Marty for Hirschfeld is coming off the ground and should be a great provider. We have Ethicon, we have Verizon, we have Multichem, and we have a plethora of smaller companies that do great business and grow. You know, I'm pleased as I learn about different small businesses to see how many people they employ and how well they do. But all of that growth is dependent on an infrastructure that works, and that means water, chief amongst those things. So in order to continue to grow a community, create jobs, and create a community where people can work their way up and through school, find a good job, be able to raise a family and effectively educate that family and take care of that family, you have to know that there is the ability to have water infrastructure here. If you're being told because of the drought of record you can use somewhat less water from the existing reservoirs, and if all of your water supply is from reservoirs that evaporate, that may be taken away from you through legislation or through the courts as it relates to being passed downstream to other entities, and you look at that ongoing growth that you want. We'd like to see Angelo State be 10,000 students for the economic and cultural impact that would have on this community. We would like Goodfellow Air Force Base to expand and have another mission. We'd like to see Marty for Hirschfeld do very well, and then we'd like possibly to see a mesquite-fired electricity production plant put in place. And so when you look at those opportunities to create jobs and to create an environment where families can thrive, water has to be in place. So I would say to them that you're in West Texas, water is precious, and it's not just West Texas. Look at California, where they are having huge water issues and big concern about what they're going to do as it relates to farming, and the clash now between urban society and rural society, and so we need to be thinking ahead so that we are not putting ourselves in that place in the future.